Well, today's meeting sort of got off to a bit of a false start because one of the early items on the agenda was the appointment of a deputy chair. Now, keep in mind that Councillor Brooks didn't get what she wanted the other day, and she damn well wasn't going to let somebody else get an easy election when she was around.
6.2, to appoint the deputy chair of the Finance and Governance Committee. I've had a request here, actually, which I'd like to propose from Councillor Colby. He's obviously, well, you know where he is, Wendy. So he has asked that his name be put forward. He does follow the meetings and he does follow the finances, and he is experienced in the interaction between the budgets and the reserves. He doesn't want a chair thing this year, but he's fully intended to come back in the near future, and he has asked to be considered for deputy chair, and I'm happy to propose him.
Yeah, I'd like to second that proposal. He has actually been F&G chair in the past, so he'd do a very good job.
Wendy.
I can't support somebody who hasn't been at a meeting since, I think, January. You're very, very early away, so it's not really worth having a major discussion on it, but I won't be voting, not because any personal reason, but just I cannot vote for a councillor who hasn't attended a meeting in about, I don't know, 6 months.
Yeah, just for the record, without giving details, Councillor Colby has been off ill for the last few months. And has sent apologies for it, but he had, well, and he might not, Wendy. He wouldn't have asked for his name to be considered if he wasn't intending to come back and play a part. So I was happy to facilitate that, and I've thrown it out there. If you don't want to vote, I respect that totally. That's fine. Right, do we have any other nominations? Wendy.
Paul.
Thank you, Wendy, but I've already had a conversation with Andy about this about Neil wanting to be the deputy chair. And as much as I support him entirely, I think it's wrong of you to say that if councillors on this council give reasons for their absence, we have to accept that there are reasons why they're not here. And if it's a matter of health, then we should not bring that into question at this meeting. So I fully endorse Neil's.
Thank you. I saw you shake your head, Wendy. All I did was say to Paul that Neil had expressed an interest, that's all. I've been going to see him every week for the last few months while he's been off ill. Okay, that's how he raised his expression of interest. Okay, so I passed it on, and when I saw Neil, because he asked how he was, I told him what he said.
Yeah.
Okay, right. All in favour, please.
Can Andy just say, respect to me, you did approach me as I was the previous deputy chair.
To ask whether you were still interested.
So
I did. Yeah.
Well, I know these conversations go on.
No, it's not like that.
No, these conversations don't go on, Wendy. Wendy. Please don't, Wendy. All right. Neil asked me to put him forward, and I asked Paul whether he was intending to be deputy chair again. Okay, that's all.
That's all it was. Okay, thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
All in favour, please.
Well, I hope when I'm ill, someone looks after me as well as Wendy does to her colleagues. Oh, Councillor Parker, nice shirt, love it. It settled down for a bit after that, but there were some bits worth watching.
You can still have minutes with a working group if they are requested by the members. So it doesn't have to be a subcommittee to produce minutes.
But it's...
No, I'm not arguing with your proposal, Wendy. I'm just clarifying a point that it does not need to be a subcommittee if the only rationale for doing that is to get minutes.
The rationale for putting it is to get the minutes. It's also to give it its status.
Okay.
It isn't a working group. It's an annual thing. It's like F&G,
Wendy.
Parks. It's something that's ongoing, and it's not a working group.
Wendy, I understand what you're saying. All right. I'm just clarifying that it is not necessary for it to be made a subcommittee purely to get minutes produced. If you want it to be a subcommittee so it has gravitas and status, that's fine. That's your proposal.
Yes.
Right, do we have a seconder for that?
Second that.
Okay. All in favour, please. Okay, against? Wendy? Against? Abstentions? Okay, so that's carried.
Good. Excellent.
So,
The item was about making a
I
supplementary.
don't understand.
That's, I think, the first issue.
oh, right.
Region adopting working group. I believe it would have to be, because it was resolved at full council,
We'll have to go back to full council.
we would need an item on the agenda specifically to make it a subcommittee.
Yeah.
That's then recommended by this committee to full council.
That's fine.
So we need to leave that till next time.
That's fine.
Okay, can I request, if we've got time, can it go on the extraordinary full council meeting on the 2nd of July? Well, it hasn't actually been finalised that date, has it? But there's an extraordinary full council to discuss our outstanding legal matters, as I
Yeah,
understand.
but that's exactly what it's for. So we don't want to be clogging it up with other stuff. But
Well,
is
it could wait till the next full council. It can wait till the end of.
Yeah.
I'll put an item on the next F&G,
Yeah.
and the item will specifically be about reviewing its status and changing it to a subcommittee, and we'll go
Yeah.
that way.
is that
That's
okay?
fine.
You both happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Then we got on to some grant applications.
Keeper's daughter.
Yeah.
Right.
This is the one I had a problem with.
Right, so I had a look at this one, and it would be eligible, which is not the same thing as saying that we have to prove it. That's a judgment call for each individual councillor, because it's not a salary. It's a project delivery fee. They are in the same way that you would have a project manager to deliver a project. It's a one-off involvement from two professionals to develop this project, as opposed to an ongoing salary. How you feel about that individually is obviously a matter for each individual councillor, but there wouldn't be an eligibility issue in paying a professional person to deliver a project, providing the grant was still being paid to an organisation account, not to an individual's personal bank account. To deliver a project, as opposed to a salary. Ongoing running costs we typically can't cover, and that would include salaries. But how do people feel about this one?
I'm not totally sure the council have got their idea about salary versus project fees quite right. There's a thing HMRC have called IR35, which sets out, not very clearly, who is actually self-employed. So a private individual like me, I am self-employed, have been for nearly 20 years now. And if I give somebody a bill for a training session that I've done, they just pay me. I'm actually VAT registered as well. So in actual fact, I mean, in the way the council do things, I would say, yes, I'll come and do a training session for you. It costs you 100 quid. And I charge them 120 quid because it's got 20% VAT for the government. If somebody is self-employed, but slightly more unofficially self-employed, I mean, you do get a thing called a UTR number. That's always a good guide. Genuine self-employed people have always got UTR numbers. So UTR number and VAT registration is probably 99% certain to be okay with HMRC. But these people they take on for a project, if it's clear that the only reason it's really a project is to avoid national insurance and PAYE, that's a bit risky. And some of these things, you know, there's no questions about who these people are and whether they are genuinely self-employed. You know, giving someone 500 quid for 5 sessions at £100 each is not a get around the law. IR35 is not hard rule, it's guidelines. you can actually use HMRC's IR35 calculator. It asks lots of questions about the project that you're doing. And if the calculator says this person is probably self-employed, that's not exactly the same as saying they are self-employed. It's probably. And I get the impression the council haven't really thought this through. They're sort of making a lot of assumptions that could backfire. And in, 6 months, a year, 2 years' time, they could actually have HMRC come after them for the tax and national insurance they didn't pay, because that person really was an employee, even though for 5 weeks at £100 a session. That's how it works.
So specifically it says the council would fund the professional fees. So that's the distinction. It's professional fees for a finite term project as opposed to salaries for an employee. These people are not employees.
They might not be employees, and it might be
Wendy, can I finish, please? All right. I'm not, if you are unhappy with it, that's entirely your prerogative. All I'm saying is it does not fall foul of the eligibility criteria, because we can fund professional fees for delivering a project. It is not ineligible. That is not the same thing as saying you have to stick your hand up and vote for it. So it says the council would fund the professional fees of both an experienced video editor and experienced sound editor. Between the two roles, these freelancers will lead 6 workshops over the summer holidays and hone the finished drafts that the young people create, ensuring the finished films, which are lottery funded, are of the highest quality and something that young people can be proud of.
It's even a bit daft because, like in the example Andy gave here, sound could be self-employed and therefore they don't have to pay PAYE or national insurance, but you might find somebody involved with lighting does, and that could be the same person doing different jobs in different weeks. With video editors, same thing applies. They could be an employee, they might be not. Who knows?
I take the point that Wendy's made. I'm not disagreeing with it. It's just, but it's not an eligibility question. It's a personal judgment call question. Paul.
Thank you, Andy. I think I was on anyway. I think anything that helps the young people of the town should be supported, so I would endorse it.
So you're proposing approval, yeah?
Yes, please.
Okay, then I'll second. Okay. Any other comments before we go to a vote? Okay, all in favour, please. Okay, that's 4. Against? Abstentions? Okay, 1 abstention.
And here's one that got through amazingly quickly.
Okay, 10.1E, East Suffolk 1 radio for £296. Wendy?
I propose we approve. They do lots of really good work in the area. They attend our events. They're out and about in the community. I propose we approve. Second.
Okay, Bernie seconded. All in favour, please. And
then we came to one with a snag. Wendy's not in favour.
10.1G, Most Easterly Community Group, £100.80. So this is for an annual insurance premium. Wendy?
I have a problem.
Go.
I know it's not much money, but I don't believe that the Most Easterly Group charge any membership fee to the people who join. Most community groups, friends group, but certainly community groups, ask for a very small kind of token amount of money for membership. The Most Easterly Group have never done this. I also don't think they ever do any fundraising. I know it's not a lot of money, but it seems to me that what actually are they doing for the area? What have they actually produced? So although, wouldn't it be good if they would just show some autonomy and try and do something, so rather than always, they seem to be very keen on kind of grants and asking for things, but what are they actually putting back? And it's only £100.
Right, okay, can we keep the comments factual, please, Wendy? Because yeah, no, some of those comments are subjective, Wendy, about what they do, and the value of what they do is a subjective comment. So if the comment about whether they charge their members is fine, but the value of what they do is a subjective comment. And you could levy that at a lot of organisations. Bernie?
Yeah, just on your comments, Andy, I don't think the Friends, I may be wrong, but I don't think the Friends of Fen Park charge a membership fee. Well, I'm pretty sure they don't. I'm not sure about the Friends of Kensington Gardens.
But-
I don't think they do as
Kensington
either.
Gardens do a lot of fundraising.
Yeah, all right.
Well, they might do, but they don't charge membership
also-
fee, which is what you said.
You know, we don't make it compulsory either to apply for a grant or to be considered as a community group that these groups charge their members membership fees. We leave that to their discretion. So if you don't want to support it on that basis, that's fine. But we can't retrospectively apply a rule to say, well, no, we're not going to do this one down because they could raise the money themselves by charging their members. Paul?
Thank you, Andy. Having been to a number of the Most Easterly Community Groups meetings, and they're not here to speak for themselves, Wendy, but I think they do have a lot of projects that they're involved in within their own community, and they do offer a lot of support to each other within that community. I know a lot of the members, and they've got a lot of projects they're trying to work on at the moment. So hopefully we could just support them with this little bit of money, I think.
So is that a proposal?
I would propose we would, yes.
Then I'll second. Okay, any other comments before we go to a vote? Okay.
Yes, our grants are supposed to show some evidence of sustainability, aren't they? So yes, they have had frequent changes and well, I just would like to, things like fundraising. I think that community groups should be doing. I don't know, it's just the sort of like we go and get that off the town council thing.
I don't think most Easterly Group tend to be frequent applicants for grants, quite frankly. So as a factual comment, that can be verified. But that's certainly my observation. Right, okay, so comment noted, but we've had a proposal, it's been seconded. All in favour, please. Okay, that's 4. You against? Abstentions? 1 abstention.
Anyway, the meeting carried on in similar lines. Little snipey bits, but nothing nasty really. Just disagreements of opinion, I suppose, really. But I thought it was worthy of mentioning all that stuff about tax, because it's potentially a minefield that I think they may well have either misunderstood or just never really got their heads around in the first place. Anyway, that's where we'll leave it today. Let's see what happens on the next meetings. Look after yourselves. Take care. See you later.